Are you running your own teaching business? Woohoo! Congratulations. And if you're doing everything yourself, sometimes I think we just want to pull our hair out because there's so much to do. Well, if you're looking for answers to how you can solve some of those business problems, you're in the right place. I first want to invite you to join the Ultimate Music Theory Facebook group because we've got some fantastic resources for you, a community of musicians and like-minded educators that are just a wealth of support. So be sure to check out the Ultimate Music Theory Facebook group. So when it comes to scheduling and collecting payments and organizing your accounting, what's the one thing you wish you could just get off your list and stress less, as Todd likes to say? It's maybe managing your schedule, your billing, all that accounting stuff that, maybe keeps you up at night. So go ahead and share in the chat box. What keeps you up at night when you could be doing other things other than just all that business stuff? Well, I'm Gloria St. Germain from Ultimate Music Theory, and today my special guest is Todd Whaley from My Music Staff, and he's come to save the day. Hi, Todd.
Hello, how are you?
Great. We're so excited that you're here today. I've got some reactions coming in there. Sarah Campbell is here. She saves the day too. Lisa says, I can't wait to watch this, Todd. She said, I'd love to know more about My Music Staff. Thanks for making it happen. So we're excited. We've got some people jumping in here. Hello from Krista. I think we all struggle, Todd, with finding the time to do all of the things that we do, and especially when we're independent music teachers. And I think maybe I'm going to ask our viewers and our teachers to share with us, where you're from and what are you teaching. So let's start with, what are you teaching and how can we kind of grow our studio business like that? And I also have a question for our teachers. Oh, sorry, I've lost my little mouse here. Because if you're teaching music, we also need to do the accounting and all those things that we don't get paid for, right, Todd? So if you're as excited as I am to learn all of this stuff from Todd and spend more time just doing all the fun stuff, the stuff that we love, go ahead and share with us, what's your biggest struggle when it comes to managing your teaching business? Now, Todd leads the customer success team at My Music Staff. And Todd, I know that you help thousands of entrepreneurs build and maintain a better business. And I think it's time to know, when can we delegate? And I think that's sort of how My Music Staff came to be. Can you just tell us the story of how did My Music Staff, even start? Because it's a brilliant idea and it always starts with something. So tell us about how it got started.
Yeah, so it actually all started with the owner's wife. So she's a doctor of music candidate and a voice teacher. And she was spending the better part of her weekends trying to figure out who owed what, who overpaid, and so on. Right. And then I'm sure for everyone listening in right now, that's a very familiar sight and experience for all of them. And then in addition to this is all throughout the week, she was fielding phone calls, emails, texts about rescheduling and cancellations. And then in addition to that, when there was things like studio closures, that messaging wasn't necessarily making it home to mom and dad. So you're eating your holiday dinner and a student shows up at your door looking for a lesson. It's really awkward to dismiss them at that point. So at that time, they started exploring options to kind of just address this issue. And there simply wasn't something that was robust enough or really built specifically for music teachers. So there was an opportunity there to help an entire industry. And that's how the concept of My Music Staff first came to be. So when I got to working on it, the first iteration was really based off of her needs, which at the time were thought to be universal. And we quickly found out that was not the case. So when we first released kind of version 1.0, the early adopters quickly let us know that was not how they ran their business. And through the feedback and suggestions we received, we pushed out many, or hundreds of features since then to kind of accommodate every business. So since that point, so that was now 5.5 years ago, hundreds of updates later. So we're pushing out about 1 to 4 updates per month. now we're able, or we have the flexibility to offer, or we can now offer the flexibility that your business doesn't necessarily need to fit a mold to work with my music staff. We have the flexibility to accommodate you.
You know, one of the things that you just said, and I'm going to ask the teachers to share a couple of stories here as well, because you said something that really struck a chord, a musical term, really struck a chord with me, Todd. And that is, if you're not organized in your scheduling, and you're right, a student shows up and can interrupt your lesson time, or you just forgot because you wrote it down on a piece of paper and maybe didn't have a sort of a set schedule. So I want to share a story with you. I was shopping, I was grocery shopping in a Safeway. It was a Friday afternoon, and I don't usually teach on a Friday. And my mother and my best friend happened to be at the house, and they were preparing coffee and some dainties. We were just going to have a little get together. Now, my best friend, Lorene, is a piano teacher as well. So while I'm in Safeway, I run into the dad of one of my students, and they actually have 4 children, and he was with 3 of them. And I just ran into him and I said, "Oh, hi, how are you doing?" And he kind of looked at me funny and he said, "Well, I'm doing well." He said, "But I just dropped off Fiona at your house because she's having a piano lesson with you right now." And I said, "What? Oh my gosh." So I ran out of Safeway and, trying to pay for my stuff, and, groceries were like tumbling out of the car because they didn't bag them well. And I just was so flustered. And I got in the house, and there was my mom, with my coffee, and Lorene, my best friend, was teaching Fiona to save the day. But you're right. If you don't have a system such as my music staff, these things happen. I would just invite our listeners to share their panic story, because I think we've all been there, Todd. We've all done that, and it's embarrassing, right? Because we're professionals. We're supposed to have our stuff together. I'm really interested to see what other teachers have to share with us today. So we have a little comment here from we will share. Lisa, she says, "I can't wait to hear about this." Sarah says, "Hey there, hello from Krista." Oh, Lorraine says, "We love my music staff." Yay. Thanks, yeah. Lorraine. We've got aloha from Christopher. Krista said she just started using my music staff and loving it, which is fantastic. Christopher says he's currently teaching piano. No voice students at the moment, but they also offer musical theater and composing and general music. And I think sometimes that's why you need to have a platform to run your business, right? Sarah says, "How cool." Krista says she teaches piano in Southern California near Fresno. "Billing is my struggle." And I know Todd's going to address that in a minute. So struggling, chasing parents for payments. You and I talked about that, Todd, before we went live today. It's always the same parents. Also struggling with parents reading lesson notes. Okay, great. We're talking about that as well, Krista, and the worksheets. And now they can just log in and see the other notes for their child, right? So sometimes they can leave notes for you. Yeah. Christopher struck a chord. Sarah says, "I teach piano, voice and piano in Pennsylvania." Yay! Admin tasks are feeling good when I use my music staff. That's excellent. Mary Kay is here from Pennsylvania. Jim LeClaire is here. Yay! If you're watching, yes, we're really excited to be having all of these things available for you. So Todd, in connecting with other teachers, what do you see as maybe the one thing that's missing from today's teaching studios that's really going to help teachers be more productive so they can just teach more and stress less?
Yes, I don't even think this is necessarily unique to music teachers, but just small businesses in general. And it's just knowing when to delegate. So when you first start up your business, you're accustomed to doing absolutely everything under the sun.
Yes.
And when that becomes a habit is we oftentimes don't realize how much time we're actually spending on those tasks. Yeah. So it might be 5 minutes there, 5 minutes here. It seems negligible in the moment. But when you really take a step back and you have that 10,000 foot view, is you spent an incredible amount of time on that, and your time is not only limited, but it's incredibly valuable. So if you were able to automate some of those tasks, streamline them, and just a fraction of that, your time could be better spent maybe managing other aspects of your business, growing it in some other fashion. Or maybe you're the type that just wants to have time to relax, and a lot of us don't have the time to do that. Or at least that's the feedback that we hear from people kind of their pre-My Music Staff days.
Yeah.
And then most of the tasks that are taking up all your time is that administrative work. And almost all of that can be hands-free. So something like My Music Staff can step in and automate things like your billing, your invoicing, help you collect payments, send out lesson reminders, and the whole 9 yards. And then it doesn't just stop with helping you. It can also drive home a lot of value to the lessons that you offer your students. So there's something like an optional student portal, so your students and parents can log into this. So they're taking that in-studio experience home with them, so you're still able to connect with them the 6 days a week they're not in studio.
Yeah, and I think that's absolutely just key. You know, a lot of the comments were, and you touched on it, you know, billing and also connecting with the parents and having a one place where you have all that information, and just having the student portal, because sometimes, you know, they'll forget their books and so now, you know, especially if you're teaching a lot of students. I mean, for most of us, we remember what our students are working on, but it is nice to have that resource to say, well, since you didn't have that, let's just look it up. We've kept all of our notes in one place, and really being professional, because think about it. If you spend, an hour or two a week doing all of this business stuff, which you've now created for them, that you can do it in like 15 minutes, you can take those other 2 hours and make money, because now you can say, you know what, I can teach there. That used to be the time when I had to, create all of these invoices and send notes home and email this person, and I can't find that person's email. To have it all in one place, oh my goodness, Todd, like I'm sure teachers are saying, thank you. Finally, if you haven't already discovered My Music Staff, you absolutely need to take a look at it. We've got some other comments. Christopher says, yes, 5 minutes here and there. It adds up really fast. We've got so many comments coming in here, Todd. Grandparents, reminding them about billing. Mm-hmm. That's a good one too. I'm bad about keeping up with the grandparents and reminding them, because sometimes we do have grandparents that are I too have one whose grandma always brings the students. So it really does add up fast if we don't have all of those in one place. Now, I have a question for you, because before we started our live today, and feel free to drop in your questions, because Todd's here to help you get your business organized today. So if there's a question you have, just throw it in the chat box, because today we're really talking about how can you automate things, how can you grow your business and be more effective and professional in dealing with your customers, which of course are your students, but they're also, as we heard here, the grandparents or the parents. And so it's not just about the student, but it's the whole run your business and make it easy. Yeah. So there's a thing that we talked about at before we came on live, and you called it the document disconnect. And I'm really curious, because that's a big one here. So what is the document disconnect, and how does My Music Staff solve that issue? The document disconnect. I'm sure you're all curious to see what that's going to be.
So I think everyone's unfamiliar with the term, but everyone's experienced the concept. So with everyone here today, when you first started up your studio, maybe even now, I'm sure that everyone's using kind of a handful of services that were available to them at the time. So I'm starting a music studio. What do I need? What do I have? So you started using Excel, you had Gmail, you had Google Calendar, and then that's what you use to manage your studio or perform a particular task. So as an example, say you were to receive an email about lesson cancellation. That might mean you need to log into your Google Calendar to remove that from your calendar. Next step, you might send off an email to that family to say, yep, I got your request. I removed you from the calendar. Maybe you're sending a follow-up email to try and figure out a different lesson time that works for them. So that's a whole other back and forth exchange. And then you're opening up a spreadsheet to make note of. So maybe there's a couple different worksheets here that you're managing. So one for your billing. So maybe you're going to waive the fee for them. Maybe you're going to track a makeup credit. And maybe you also track attendance and lesson notes. And you're going to make a note of this. So that's three separate kind of touch points and three separate products that you need to use to accomplish a seemingly easy and very routine task. So document disconnect is when you need to manually intervene at every step of the way to enter information into one system or into each system because they don't directly kind of connect with each other. So it's quite obvious that this is an efficient use of your time, and then you also increase the risk of input error. So that's obviously a big problem. So if we were to apply my music staff to the same problem is, so first, my music staff just manages all aspects of your business and everything's kind of interconnected. So an action here has or can automatically trigger something on the other end. So to use our example again of a cancellation is you don't even have to your families wouldn't even email you. They just simply log into the student portal. They would find their lesson, let you know of that upcoming absence, and you would have previously defined your studio policy. So let's say I need 24 hours notice, and you're going to set up what happens when I provide enough notice and what happens when a student doesn't provide enough notice, and then it's just going to automatically handle that for you. So maybe that's issuing the makeup credit, so it'll track that for you. Maybe that's automatically removing that charge from the family's account. So that'll reflect in your billing and your invoicing automatically without you having to intervene. And maybe they didn't give you enough notice. And that's where the system can kind of be the bad guy for you. You get to avoid an awkward conversation where they get the finger waved is, no, sorry, you didn't provide enough notice. You're still being charged for this lesson. So that's just one example of it manually kind of fielding all those things automatically for you. But the biggest thing would be things like your billing and invoicing. So we use calendar-based billing. So that means when you first enter your students, you're selecting their default billing rate. You schedule them out on the calendar, and the system can then automatically determine based on their default billing rate, how many times they've been scheduled, who owes what. And then your attendance also has an effect on your billing as well. So simply by keeping an accurate schedule, all your billing and invoicing falls into place.
Wow, what a fantastic resource. You know, I just felt pain as you were even describing that whole system of opening up the Excel spreadsheet, going and getting the person's email address, then going into your email platform, sending them that information, and then them emailing you back with when they could make up the lesson. No, that didn't work. Then going into your calendar and putting it into your Google Calendar or whatever you're using. That is a lot of time. And honestly, Todd, until you really start talking about it, I don't even think people realize how much time is involved in all of those steps. And to think that it can be organized right here, right now, it's a brilliant concept. And even how, as you said, you're constantly adding things, and you have an incredible support system for my music staff users. So if they're just new and want to get started, the steps are there for success. So it doesn't take much to get started. I think too that even the whole concept of billing, are you getting paid by cash, or are you doing, trade for service, or do they forget their checks? People don't even have checks anymore that much. Are they doing an e-transfer? That's still work too, because you have to go and accept it and do all of this. So, one of the things that I think is a great success story for you is that I believe you are also helping teachers with their online payments. And so could you just tell us maybe why more studios should consider these online payments?
Yeah, so first, it simply just gets you paid faster. So just from looking at our own My Music Staff users, is those that do accept online payments, they're just paid twice as fast. So right there, it's money in your pocket that much sooner. And then it's also a super convenient way for your families to pay you while involving less work on your end. So they don't have to make a special trip to the bank to pull out cash, or they don't need to turn their house upside down trying to find that checkbook. And then you also don't have to wait. So after depositing that check, you don't have to wait a week to find out that it's bounced, and then you're saddled with that insufficient fund fee. So when a parent pays online, you're instantly notified, and then that payment is automatically recorded for you. And then in the rare instance that the payment didn't go through, again, everybody is notified immediately. So they're simply told to maybe use a different card or provide some other method of payment, and then use the studio owner would also be notified of that. And then if you wanted to take it a step further, there's also a feature called autopay. And with that, what a family would do is just save their credit card on file, flick on this feature, and the second you send an invoice is simply by emailing it, that triggers the system to charge the card on file. So you've completely automated the payment process. You don't have to wait for them to input their credit card info and get you paid. And we have some examples of studios, so hundreds of families, and they have auto invoicing and auto pay turned on. So on the first of every month at 8 a.m., they're firing off 300 invoices, and within five minutes or so, they've got 300 separate payments. So
fantastic.
So for the typical studio that's maybe only 10 students, this would certainly do the trick as well. And many have actually baked something like this into their studio policy, because ultimately you're a music teacher, you're not a bill collector. So we don't want to talk about the finances. Let's just make this easy and convenient for everyone. Auto invoicing, auto pay, we're set.
Yeah, and I think it's not only is it a time saver, it's a stress saver, because you know, some of us are, we're just not comfortable constantly harping the same family saying, I'm sorry, like this is your third lesson this month and you still haven't paid me for last month. And then it causes that friction, and the poor child is standing there and now they don't know what to do because it's not their fault. I think just by automating this is just fantastic. I know I'm just going to check our chat here because we have some questions coming in. So if you have any questions about these, now is the time to ask, because Todd's here live with us. So we're definitely going to get them going. So Christopher says, keeping on top of the task of recording a makeup lesson for a non-attendee is something that I'm weak at. So when it slips through the cracks and then I'm having to give them a discount according to my studio policy, defeating both the financial and education purpose of replacing the missed lesson with a recording. So that's something that you addressed as well, Todd, is that you really, in My Music Staff, this is kind of done for you, right? So if a parent comes in and says, I can't make a lesson, if it's within the policy that you set, which is the great thing. It's not that My Music Staff is setting the policy. Each teacher can individually set their own policy, correct?
Yeah, and then the beauty of this too, so I give an example of where someone canceled. You can also turn on a feature where, so say a student cancels, you're still available at that time, so you can automatically convert that into an open lesson slot or a makeup slot. And then if you just had free time where maybe you don't have a time where you typically teach lessons. So every Friday afternoon, let's say you have that off, but you're available to teach. You can just schedule a bunch of open lesson slots. So in the case of rescheduling, there's always something there and available for your students. And then it doesn't involve any of your input. Is they log into the student portal, they find your availability, and then if it's simply an open lesson slot, they can join that. All the billing is handled, or if you made it a makeup slot, is the student can only join if they have the required credits.
Yeah, wow, that's fantastic. I'm close to sold on this system already. How do and where do we get it? Okay, well, let's answer that question, Todd.
Yes, so everyone can try a free 30-day trial. So you just need to head on over to mymusicstaff.com. There's no credit card required. So you can jump in, you can start putting in your own info, and then we're always there to help. So we're just a click away. So you can click help in the top right corner to reach out to our support team, or you can give us a call on our toll-free number. We're always available weekdays from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, Eastern time. Yeah, well, that's fantastic. And I think, I mean, why wouldn't you give it a try? This is a free trial from mymusicstaff.com. 30-day free trial. You can get everything sorted out, see how it works, know that they have support. Even when you're doing the free trial, you can still reach out and ask questions, and certainly they're there to help you. Do you do you offer students? Oh, sorry, I'm trying to read out. We have so many questions here. I'm already sold. Yes. Do you recommend offering them a discount if they choose to auto pay?
That's entirely up to you. Many studios just bake it into their studio policy,
right.
Just so you don't have to. Just the hassle of payments is kind of done away with. I do know that some will build the processing fee into their online payments, and then there might be a discount for cash or check payments.
Right.
But yeah, you can definitely save a ton of time just by offering online payments.
For sure. For sure. I think that is the easiest way. And honestly, Todd, I think not only is it really convenient for the teacher who's running their business, but I think it's really convenient for the parents too. It's just like one less thing that they have to worry about. Oh, what day is it? Oh, shoot, our lesson's on the 3rd. And I don't, it just saves everyone a lot of time. They all have to pay their bills at home as well. So just having this one more thing automated, I think kind of frees up the parent to just bring their child for music lessons and not worry about, oh, did I send in my payment or didn't I? And it certainly is a fantastic resource for that. Now, speaking of resources, we also have some presents today. So I know you've got some additional bonuses, Todd, and I want to say, thank you so much for doing that, because I know that you're busy on supporting and helping other teachers. So thanks for taking time and sharing this with us today, because it really, I think, is an eye opener for us to go, well, wait a second. You mean I can automate all of this with no stress and then just go do what I love to do, which of course is to teach. So tell us about what your team has created for us as some bonuses for today.
Yeah, so each and every week, our marketing team puts out free activity sheets, recital packs, and other materials. We always post that on Pinterest, so you can stay tuned there. So you just have to head on over to pinterest.com/mymusicstaff. So if you're just looking for maybe some holiday themed student activities or kind of a recital pack for your upcoming summer recital, we've got you covered there.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, thanks for providing those free resources for us, because I think we are all busy teachers, and the more that we can automate our business systems and have those resources that are, sometimes we don't have time to create all of this. We would like to have it, but there's just not enough hours. And if we can have those resources at our fingertips and get our business on automation, then, we can continue with our own professional development and grow as music educators and spend less time on all the, the little take care of business things that are so easy to automate. So no more Excel spreadsheets for me. So I'm going to thank our guests for participating and sharing all of their ideas with us today. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Todd or any of their amazing staff at My Music Staff. We have staff. And so I want to say thanks, Todd. Any closing thoughts for us today?
Yeah, thanks so much. It was great being able to connect with your users. We definitely look forward to helping them build a better business. And then that all starts with a 30-day free trial.
That's excellent. Thank you. So check out mymusicstaff.com. Be sure to sign up for the Ultimate Music Theory group. We want to make sure that you're in there so you have access to even more great educators and musicians, where we talk all things music and share our journeys as well in our community. So thank you, Todd, and I look forward to seeing everyone over on mymusicstaff.com. Thanks, Todd.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day. Stress less.
Yes.